So here's the backyard pond that I'm working on. At this point, we still have a long way to go. I have this flagstone path that comes along through the backyard and ends at what is going to be a pond. What you see here came from Lowe's. This is a a plastic, what they call like a hardliner pond. Cost me $129. Serious koi pond people, you could get a pretty nice pond kit. It's got everything you need to build a koi pond, a small koi pond. It's going to cost you $2,000 or $3,000. Okay, I have a budget of about $200 or $300. So what I really want is more of a landscaping kind of water feature pond. So that's what I'm working on here. So one of the things that's going to add a lot of hassle and some considerable expense to the system is going to be power, right? Because here's my pond, and if I'm going to use a 120 volt pond pump, then somehow from this pond all the way over to here where my box is, I'm going to have to get 120 volts. So I would have to pay an electrician to come out and wire out a ground fault interrupt 120 volt outdoor circuit, and then somehow I'd have to get it across this under this concrete, right? I'd have to dig a trench through the backyard and bury the conduit and then run 120 volts over to the pond pump, which, like I say, that's going to be a hassle and it's going to be very expensive. So what I'm doing instead is I'm using low voltage landscape products, basically lighting and sprinklers, right? Low voltage 12 volt wiring. That way what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, right here in my path, just alongside the path, I'm going to bury low voltage landscape wiring. It's just going to come along through the path. All I need to do is just dig a little trench and it can just lay right in there. Don't have to run any conduit or anything like that. Come along the path, up over through the bushes and along the fence, and all the way back along until my garage. Now just run it right into the garage and plug the 120 volt side of the transformer in the garage. And another thing that's going to happen, that means my transformer is going to be dry. The transformer itself isn't going to get rained on, although actually the landscaping transformers are rated for outside. But even so what? Better to have them inside and dry. So these are the water plants we bought, and they're just sitting out here in tubs of water on our back patio, waiting for me to get that pond built. But the reason we bought them now is because this is the season, that basically the pond supply place, the local place, this is when they stock their plants. If we wait till later in the season, they're not going to have as big a selection. Pond stuff is expensive. If it's made for a pond, it's going to cost a lot of money. So what I've done is I've found places where I don't actually have to use pond stuff. There is, well, let me show you. Over here, we're doing some system tests. Okay, so this is basically what the system is going to look like. So we're going to have two of these little catch basins. Of course, it's going to be, they're going to have rocks in them, and it's going to be in a mound. So, it's not going to look like, these plastic tubs here. So we have two catch basins that eventually empty into a pond. Okay, here's how the system is going to work. So what we have here is a 100 watt low voltage landscape lighting transformer that's going to be in my garage. And since my garage is a long way away, we have to go through 200 feet of heavy-duty 12-gauge landscape wiring. Okay, and at the other end of the wiring, then what we're connected to down here, what this is not a pond pump, which is going to run on 120 volts and is expensive. This is a 12-volt low-voltage fountain pump. So what I did was I got a fountain pump. I got basically the highest flow fountain pump that I could find. This particular one is 300 gallons per hour, and I have a 160 gallon pond, so actually that's going to cycle all the water you know, supposedly about approximately twice an hour. So, by the way, this is nowhere near anything that you could use in a koi pond. But for this little pond, it's a 160-gallon pond, that's going to work. So anyway, and then we come up through this fountain hose, right up to the very top, where we're going to have our waterfall. And the waterfall is going to flow through these two catch basins and into the pond. So this pond that I'm using right now to do the testing is another, actually this is a really small 50-gallon pond that I also got at the home center. We originally were going to have just a pond this small, but when we got it in the backyard, we said, you know what, this is just too small. So as you can see, then we got a much bigger pond. So what, I guess this is about 3 times the size of the 50-gallon, right? This is 160 gallons, and well, I already dug the hole for the little pond, as you can see, but I've got a lot more digging to do because now I've got to get this pond in there. So anyway, I better get to it. Although, you know what? It's just about noon. This is a very bad time to dig a pond on an August afternoon. So you know what? Instead, I think I'll sit in the shade and have some iced tea.